Now let's go to Thailand next, where former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra has returned home after 15 years of self-imposed exile. Upon arrival, he was greeted by his supporters at Bangkok Don Mueang Airport. One of the most divisive figures in Thai politics, his return comes as Thailand's parliament will aim to resolve a political deadlock and vote for a new Prime Minister for the third time in 3 months. Members of Parliament are expected to vote later to install the party's coalition candidate, the business tycoon PM Thaksin, as Prime Minister. Mr. Shinawatra faces a number of old criminal cases which he says are politically motivated. He served as Prime Minister from 2001 to 2006. Prior to entering politics, he built a successful career as a business tycoon, and he gained popularity for his implementation of populist policies aimed at addressing social inequalities. But his leadership was tarnished by allegations of corruption. In 2006, a military coup removed him from office, leading to a period of instability. He faced legal charges and went into self-imposed exile 2 years later, living mainly in Dubai. Well, despite his absence from the country, he retained significant influence in Thai politics through supporters and affiliated parties. Well, let's go live to Bangkok now to talk to our Southeast Asia correspondent, Jonathan Head. So, Jonathan, he has landed. He's back in Thailand. Tell us more.
Well, it was a relatively subdued arrival. This has been a deal that's been in the making for some time, and there has to be a deal. The reason Thaksin has not come back, despite promising to do so many times in the past, is because of these criminal convictions that were imposed on him in his absence. And there must be some kind of agreement whereby he does not go to prison. At least he obviously believes that. He has gone straight to the Supreme Court, where the judges will decide what happens to him. There is a law in Thailand which could be used, which allows people over 70 to serve their sentences in their homes with an ankle bracelet. It's not quite sure what the final deal will be, but this has been negotiated, and you have to look at it in the bigger political context. His party, PM Thai, which won every election up until the last one, and was always opposed to military intervention in politics. It was championed democracy, it championed progressive parties for the poor, is not as big a force as it was, and is just about now to go into coalition with its former enemies, with the conservative, royalist and pro-military parties that it has been fighting with, sometimes with quite costly, bloody results, for the last 15 years. So this appears to be part of a grand bargain where at the age of 74, Mr. Thaksin can come back. He settles his differences with his old enemies. And of course, all of this is in the context of the new boy in town, this party Move Forward, which won the most seats, shocked everyone by doing so well in the last election, is much more reformist than Mr. Thaksin's party, PM Thai, but has been blocked and has been corralled by conservatives and by the courts and various laws. So Thai politics has realigned, and it's created a more favourable environment for Mr. Thaksin to come back. A lot of his supporters, very, very, very loyal still. A lot of them travelled a long way to come and see him. He couldn't come out and greet them. He briefly paid his tribute to the King and Queen and was then whisked off to court, and we won't probably see very much more of him for a while.
OK, so as you say, there's an awful lot going on within the politics in Thailand right now, and it's just wondering how that will impact the process that's underway where they're trying to establish their Prime Minister.
Well, once Move Forward, which tried to form a government, actually in partnership with Mr. Thaksin's party, PM Thai, once that was blocked by the unelected Senate, all the other parties have been negotiating furiously. PM Thai's chosen candidate, the businessman you mentioned, Thaksin Thaksin, is supposed to be voted on later today. He is the official candidate being put forward by this new coalition of PM Thai and its former conservative enemies. But I understand there's a lot more bargaining going on. We're not quite sure who will end up being Prime Minister, or even if we'll have a government by the end of the day. The bigger picture here is that Thailand's politics has moved, and that Mr. Thaksin, who has been this towering figure, even in exile, has been the bogeyman that the royalists and conservatives have really feared, just isn't the same force he once was. And they wouldn't have let him back if he was as potent a force as he was a few years ago.
OK, really interesting. We'll keep a very close eye. Jonathan, thank you. Jonathan Head there.